Hello, everyone, and welcome to our podcast. My name is Ria. I am a NPC bikini competitor, online women's fitness coach, and I am a content creator. I talk about a range of things, self-love, empowerment, personal growth, and my experience as a 22-year-old business owner with two businesses. Today I'm joined here with my boyfriend Jacob, who is also in the fitness industry, and we're going to be sharing our stories today in this introductory podcast episode. We're just going to go over how we started from beginners, and how we kind of paved the path to becoming professionals in this space. So Jacob, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi guys, I'm Jacob. I'm also an online fitness coach. Currently, I manage a team of 10 different personal trainers. I like to classify myself as a weight loss specialist. With my fitness journey, I've lost over 140 pounds, and I just really like to make that change for everybody else that needs that change.
Yeah, so we're going to be going into both of our stories. Though we share a lot of the same passions, we come from very drastically different backgrounds. So from my background being skinny, fat, and going into a body recomposition, but still having some limiting beliefs and a broken relationship with food. I'm sure Jacob can relate to some of that, but coming from being overweight, do you want to go into how your lifestyle was before you had lost the weight, the heaviest and the worst it got? Kind of walk us through what that looked like before you lost the weight.
Definitely, yeah. So obviously, after losing 140 pounds, I feel quite a bit lighter. I used to weigh 350 pounds. It was heavy on my body, heavy mentally. The biggest change I've noticed is definitely my mental health, though. Before, when I was overweight, I'd wake up, very rarely ate breakfast. Going through my day, I did quite a bit of door dashing. Just kind of did whatever I need to get throughout the day. Normally, most of my eating was coming from the afternoon, binge eating, and just trying to look at that as like my best part of my day. It's really changed now throughout the fitness journey. A lot healthier physically, but also mentally, really spacing out my meals and feeling a lot more confident.
So when it came to binge eating, was that an emotional trigger? Was that something that was learned? Was that something that you just kind of leaned on? Like, walk us through, or was it all you ever knew? Because I think a lot of people struggle with binge eating, but they can't really identify why that is, or if they do, they feel hopeless in breaking the cycle.
Definitely, yeah. For me, I feel like I was just living a life that I didn't want to live. It was extremely depressing, and I used that food in that moment, in that day, to really get me through the day. It was my highlight. It was what at the time made me happy, was just looking forward to that. So I really built it up and got everything out of it that I could have.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think, you mentioned that it made you happy. So I think about the correlation between now, you're obviously the happiest you've ever been, like, but it's actual happiness rather than a short, instant gratification that you think it's happy.
100%. Yeah, the happiness from the binge eating was very short-lived while I was eating, and then afterwards I'd feel even worse.
Yeah, I think both of us are finally, well, very close in cultivating this relationship with our faith and finding happiness and meaning outside of short-term things, outside of things that we can have in this life but not take with us, like food, I don't know, like addictions, all these things. Like you said that it would make you happy, but ultimately it didn't, and that's why you had to lose the weight. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that process? Like, obviously it wasn't an overnight thing. I think it would kind of like inspire people. Like, was it mostly mindset? Like, was it building those habits? What did that like look like for you?
So for me, really my breaking point was my physical health. I was waking up every day, extremely sick, throwing up, and I just got tired of that. And so for me, it really just started with wanting to feel better physically. And so I made a goal for myself to eat cleaner food so I can just feel better. I did that for about 6 months, losing about 70 pounds without even really realizing it. I went into the bathroom, seeing my clothes were fitting a little bit different. After that, I just kind of ran with the weight loss from there, but it really just started with physically wanting to feel better. There was a point where my body stopped digesting food really, and I was dealing with extreme constipation, extreme pain in my chest. And so from there, that just led to starting to do a little bit of research of how to help that, and that's what started the weight loss.
And what I'm hearing is it was mostly nutrition.
100% is nutrition. I always break down everybody's fitness goals, whether it's trying to lose 100 pounds of fat or gain 100 pounds of muscle. 70 pounds of that is going to come from eating right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Do you have any questions for me?
Definitely, yeah. So, you mentioned that you were skinny fat.
Yeah, I feel like that's just the best way to explain it to people. I've always been, like, no matter how much I eat, like, even now, you've obviously know that I'm eating the most and I'm the heaviest that I've ever been in my life. Like, scale-wise, I wouldn't say, like, body fat-wise, but scale-wise, I'm the heaviest I've been, but I still have a petite structure. Just genetically, I will be small, but there was no muscle on my body. It was mostly fat. Like, I didn't really have much of, like, that sculpted waist or anything like that. I just kind of had, like, a belly. I was not very, like, as women would say, toned. And that's where a lot of my insecurities came from, because at the time when I started, like, going to high school and, like, was kind of post puberty, I still didn't have the curves that, like, other girls had. And at the time, like, in culture, it was very, like, trendy to have, like, a big butt and so I'm sorry. Is it okay?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, I'll go from the top. Huh?
I think it might be turned the wrong way.
That's all right. I'll go from the top.
Okay.
But yeah, I've always genetically been very small. Even though I didn't have much width to my frame, I still lacked muscle, and muscle creates that toned definition. And comparatively to a lot of girls that I went to school with, I didn't have, glutes or any sort of, like, shape, and that was a lot of my insecurities. And so that's when I started going to the gym. I had no idea what I was doing. And I feel like that set me up foundationally for a good place to body recomp, because I wasn't extreme weight loss, I wasn't extreme weight gain. I was creating almost, if you put it, a well-oiled machine where I was building muscle and then I was also losing that fat. And then that's, a process that doesn't come easily, especially when you're 16 years old and you don't know how to do any movements at the gym. And that's where I originally started. So yeah, I mean, there's so many things that we agree on, but there's also so many things I don't understand about extreme weight loss. And I feel like that's why we specialize in the way that we do.
Definitely. So when you say that it began with insecurities created by the societal norms, what has kept you going to be able to, acquire that body that you're looking for?
I just remember, like, sophomore year, I've always, for as long as I could remember, like, maybe ever since, high school, when I was starting to, like, think about my future, because obviously, like, when you're in elementary or middle school, you're just kind of like, okay, like, math homework due. But when high school started, I was, you're forced to think about your future in a way, Obviously, it's far out, but you start thinking about college, you start thinking about, like, the person that you're going to be once you graduate, because it starts getting real. And I remember being a sophomore in high school, and I was just obsessed. I had no idea, but I would, like, go on Twitter, I would screenshot everything, like, girls saying, like, eat these, and watch YouTube videos, and I would literally screen record the entire YouTube video. I don't know why I didn't just like save the link, but I would literally screen record the entire YouTube video of like workouts to do. And I was honestly too scared. Like, it took me watching the same movement like 50 times before I had that balls to like do it in person. But yeah, I mean, I just remember being like 15, thinking like I knew I was not meant to be average. And I genuinely believe like God made me in the certain circumstances in my life, like eldest daughter, single mom, all of these things from a young age. And I genuinely don't believe I was meant to be like everyone else. Like, no offense to everyone else, but I don't believe in being, I couldn't see myself being complacent. And so the first thing, right, like when it came to school, I wasn't really that good in school. I just have like this learning, I wouldn't call it a disability, but the way that I learn is not conducive to traditional teaching structures. So in school, it was hard for me to be successful in that. Like, I'm like 15, I'm not going to start a business, you know what I mean? I don't even have a job. So it's like, what areas of life can I be successful in? And the first one is obviously physical, because when you're 15 years old, 16 years old, and you see physical changes, it's literally real, right? Like, it's not something like in business or spiritual or these things that you can't really, that are abstract, you can't measure. I could look at myself a year ago and say like, oh, I've changed so much, but that's not like a physical thing. When I change my body, that is literally like I am physically not the same person. So I think it was very powerful. That was like the first thing. But yeah, I just remember being very motivated to change. And I think that was the biggest pain point. I mean, I was young. I didn't think of it like that at the time. But I think that's what it came down to.
Okay, so that's what started the motivation. What's keeping it going?
For the past couple of years, what kept it going was just I really, really loved to lift. Like, I really didn't have goals. Like, of course I had goals, but they weren't huge pain points. I just loved going to the gym. I still do. I still spend hours at the gym talking to people. I wouldn't want to go home because I just loved the gym so much. And then obviously, like, some years go by, and then that, I guess, honeymoon phase kind of fades away. And now it's not about, what keeps it going. It's just kind of habitual, right? Like, it's like I'm brushing my teeth, and the first thing in the morning I'm going to the gym. If I don't go to the gym, like, even if I don't want to, I can't keep on saying day after day I don't want to, because I've already made the progress, right? I feel like it's easier for me now to say I'm still going to the gym than if it was 6 years ago when I didn't have any muscle. Like, I almost didn't have much to lose, because the only thing I had to lose was like that potential. But now I'm already potentialed. So now it's habitual, it's part of my lifestyle. So I feel like that's what's keeping me going. I mean, placing little mini goals throughout the day. Like, of course, I'm a competitor, but I also have to play the long game, because I can't prep off-season, because that's just not where I am at this point in time. So it just mini goals, but also the fact that it's not about physique anymore. It's more about lifestyle. I mean, what would you say?
As far as what motivates me, currently, like you said, you've already kind of achieved your goal, so it's kind of become a habit. I think that for me, I'm still in the middle of my transformation. Even though I've lost 140 pounds, still a lot of work to be done. And so what's motivating me is just that original goal of trying to achieve my potential, and because I know I'm not even close to it. But you mentioned that you've already potentialed out, and I definitely don't feel like I'm even close to that. So that's what continuously motivates me, is knowing that I still have a lot to go.
I love that. I would probably reword what I was saying. I don't feel like I've met my current potential, but what I meant by that is the physique goal that I had when I originally started. Like, I've already surpassed that like 3 years ago, right? Like, now my physique goal, I mean, I think Jennifer Dory looks amazing. I think Laura Lee looks amazing. I think all of these girls look amazing, but ultimately, like, my physique goal is what the judges say is good, right? So ultimately, I've hit a point in my life where no matter what my physique is, as long as I keep on going to the gym and I stay on somewhat of a meal plan, even if I stop like bodybuilding, I will still feel comfortable in my own skin because I know that I'm treating my body. Like, no matter what I look like physically, I'll know what's going in my body is I'm being selective with it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, there's going to be that balance, but that balance is intentional too because it's for my brain as well. It's for my mental, right? So that way I don't go back into that cycle. So I would reword that and say I don't feel like I've hit my potential because ultimately we're never going to. You know, that's something that's subjective. And that's also something that only like really God can judge. But I also feel like when you hit your goal, a lot of people hit that roadblock because I've hit my goal like I said years ago. And I've noticed a lot of people feel like, what do I do now?
Mm-hmm.
Because once you hit that goal, it doesn't mean you're over. That doesn't mean you stop. Because if you stop, you lose what you have.
Yeah, I agree, especially when it comes to weight loss. A lot of people put a number, like I want to lose 100 pounds. For me, when I started, it was I want to feel good. And that's a continuous effort that never really gets achieved. You feel good, sure, but it's continued effort to keep that going because you can feel good one day, but if you eat bad the next day, you're going to feel like crap again. So I think that also adds to the continuous motivation for me is just always wanting to feel good the next day.
You know, I think it's really interesting because I think it goes back to the conversation we had the other day because you say, I want to lose 100 pounds weight loss, but I'm thinking, I want to make this much this month.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make this much next month. And I'm not thinking I want to help X client. Like, I want to help, I want to cultivate these systems that kind of create a well-oiled machine so that way I can give clients the best fulfillment or the best systems or the best customer service. I'm thinking I want to make this much because it's cool to say, hey guys, like I'm Maria. I made this much this month. Like, it would really help my brand. It would really help my like girl boss brand to say like, you bounce back and you make this much money, but like we said earlier, it's not a tangible concept to say I helped someone do this. And I know that's what's really important to you is when you work with people, I know that you're not excited about, oh, they lost 30 pounds. I know you're excited about they're no longer pre-diabetic. They can move better. And it's like, I don't know, it's just, I don't really have much commentary. I don't know how we solve it. I don't know if it's good or bad, but the idea that this world prioritizes those vanity metrics. That's literally what it's called in marketing. When you're studying marketing, it's vanity metrics. People are like, how many followers? But it's not about the conversions or how much money is being like, and it's not with that too, like revenue, but is a vanity metric, but the actual important metric is the profit. But these things are just, our perception is skewed. So it's just so interesting, like, and you hear that so many times with weight loss. Like, I want to lose 100 pounds, but you don't. You, like, want that look. You just don't have the education to understand that. Because, like, everyone says your goal body is heavier than you would think. Mm-hmm. Like, people think they guess my weight. I let them. And, like, they think I'm lighter than I am because I have mostly muscle. So.
Right, definitely, because like what you're saying, they don't necessarily want to lose 100 pounds. They want everything that comes along with it. They want the respect. They want the confidence. They want to feel better. They want to be able to feel comfortable in their own skin.
That goes literally back to what we were talking about literally before we started filming, is what is the why? And people say, like, I want to do this. And maybe, like, even if you're not even a beginner, if you're seasoned and you find yourself, maybe I should be doing this, like asking myself, like, what is my why? Like, I want to get a pro card. Okay, why? Mm-hmm. Well, I think it would be good for marketing my business. Okay, why? Like, I honestly don't think I can answer those questions. But I do that for a living.
Right. It can be hard. But, I mean, that is a great question. Why do you think that's going to be good for your business?
I guess it's another vanity metric. because the clients that I work with don't care about that. Like, the clients care about their mindset and how they can bounce back after our relationship, after betrayal, after trauma, after whatever's going on in their life, being a recovering people pleaser, like, and that's something I'm innately gifted with. I believe so. And yes, I mean, of course, working for something as well, like working for a pro card, working for whatever,
Right.
also adds to my expertise. But, you know, a typical lifestyle client is not going to understand, you know, that's not going to be the make or break on whether they sign with me. Of course, you know, it's beneficial, I guess, but I don't really know why, I guess. I feel like I've never really diving deep into that. I think it's just one of those things that come with the sport is testing what you're capable of.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a little bit less about the title, or it should be less about the title and more about what you're capable of. But also when you get a pro card, you're no longer an amateur and you no longer get to compete with the amateurs. So now it's a whole different ball game, and now you have to go through the whole process again. It's just constant. You will never live up to your potential, which is, I think, the cool thing. I don't know. What do you think?
I agree with you with it. I also would like to get my pro card eventually. And it's not so much about proving myself that I can get a pro card, but it's proving to myself that I can stay consistent in the gym to get the pro card, and stay consistent to my diet, and stay consistent mentally, and do what it takes to get to that pro card.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm not sure what the audience is right now, but to preface it for those who aren't familiar, I am an NPC. So I'm in the amateur league for the women's bikini category, and then Jacob is training to be in the NPC classic category. If you want to know what that looks like, Google is free. But obviously amateurs have a different league than the pros, and then obviously for a lot of amateurs the goal is to become a pro. For our sport, for me a lot of it was reclaiming my almost autonomy, my body, and it goes back to changing a physical being, right? Bodybuilding is literally artwork and sculpting what you want, where you want it, how big, or if you want to even like shrink a muscle, you can do that by not training it anymore. And for me, I started competing after my first betrayal trauma, and that's something that leads into my coaching today. You know, I don't consider it a pain point anymore, but I consider it something that, you know, I can talk about it without breaking down or anything. I can talk about it so eloquently, but it's something that I incorporate every day in my coaching, because that's the type of people that I need to help, and that's the type of people that, you know, God's placed this experience in my life so that way I can help those people. But for me, that's literally what was driving my entire prep. Like, it became my identity, and it just became like the person that I was in this very toxic environment is not the same person that I'm cultivating, literally, like skin, flesh, bones, everything, and also mentally as well. So yeah, what do you think about that, Jacob?
For me, it's like when we look at the weight loss, or even getting your pro card, relating to what we were just talking about, when you prove to yourself that you can do these things, and then you're faced with another trial later on, it's very easy to be like, that's easy, because I've done this.
Yeah.
Whether it's competing, losing 100 pounds, you know, losing 140 pounds is a very hard thing to do. It takes a lot of time, effort, and commitment, and those things are all transferable into every other goal that you're going to have. And so when you prove to yourself that you can do one thing, it helps gain your confidence to be able to prove to yourself you're going to be able to do anything else.
Yeah, I like that. It reminds me of a lot of what I've done in business. Though I'm not where I want to be, and I don't think you and I ever will, which I think honestly is a gift. I mean, we're proud, but we're not satisfied. and we never will be. But what you just said reminded me a lot of what I've done with Bolt. And I mean, a lot of the things, negotiations, conversations, sales with people, things like that, places that I didn't think I'd find myself in, people that I'd find myself connected to. And though nothing's on a pedestal, it's like, it was all ideas. And I was talking to one of my friends about this earlier today, about how special an idea is and how being a creative is. And it's because the idea is not ours. Like, it is literally God using us as a vessel. And for me to sit back and look at all the things I've done, especially with Bolt, is like, I am literally like, in some of those conversations and some of those emails, I was 20, I was 21, like negotiating huge numbers with, in my opinion, huge numbers with people that have been in the industry for so long. And then I show up like obviously young, obviously like the only person there, but I walk with my head up and I like with my shoulders back, like I run the place, and like, yes, this is my company, yes, this is my business, yes, I design everything by myself, like. And that leads into fitness. Fitness actually gave me the confidence to do that. It was the other way around. Fitness came first, right? I told myself, if I'm consistent with this, if I've done this every day for however long, I see my gym check-ins, I see how consistent I've been with MyFitnessPal, and I showed myself that every single day, then why would I fail in being consistent with this? Same thing now. Like, why would I fail with the endeavors that I have now? And that's why so many people lack confidence. It's not because of what you look like. Because honestly, like, some days, yeah, I don't like what I look like. Like, I'm a woman. Like, I bloat. All this stuff. Like, some days I don't like what I look like, but ultimately I'm not insecure because I know who I am with what I've done. And a lot of people lack confidence because you don't have anything worthy of being confident about. I'm sorry, like, I know we all are innately valuable. Like, we are all made in his image. We all are equal in his eyes. Like, no one is better than another person. Innately, we are the same. But what do you have to be confident about? If everything in your life was easy, if everything in your life was handed to you, why would you be confident? And I'm not trying to like knock on someone, like, it's a legitimate question. Mm-hmm. You don't have things to be confident about because you don't have anything to say for yourself. So if you're complaining about your confidence, like, sometimes you need someone to yell at you, and sometimes you need someone to say, like, you're the only person who can fix that. Like, I can't even help you if you don't want me to. You can hand me your money, and if you don't do the task, like, I can't do anything, right? Like, it's, I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. Relating it to my weight loss, my confidence that I've gained from it isn't coming from the way I look. There's most days that I don't like the way I look, but the confidence that I've gained and that I take throughout my day is what I prove to myself to achieve that weight loss. Showing up for myself every day, putting myself first, and really doing every little thing it needs to take to achieve that is what given me the confidence, and is what made me proud of myself over that time. It doesn't have anything to do with the actual physical results, but what it took to get them.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like what people always say, it's about the journey that took you to there. Most people aren't proud of the $1 million that they have in their bank account. They're proud of what it took to get to that $1 million and the life that it changed to get to that.
The person you become.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, it also goes back to the law of assumption, where you can't get that thing unless you cultivate that thing. And it's all connected, because what you were saying earlier, like, what is your why? People don't want that thing. They want how it makes them feel. And that's like literally the biggest lesson that's taught in marketing and taught in sales. And that's human psychology. So yeah, I think that was a really good conversation. What would you say to someone who is in your position 4 years ago, 5 years ago? What would you say to them? What would you say to even the past version of yourself?
Ultimately, I'm just going to relate to myself mentally. I'm going to really explain that I know how it feels right now, When you're lacking confidence in yourself, you're sad, you're depressed, anxious about everything, not only because you don't have the confidence to show up for yourself, but don't have the confidence of the way you're going to be perceived. And when you prove to yourself that you can do these little things every day to lose that weight, that's where you're going to be able to really make changes, not only physically but mentally. It's not about seeing the weight drop on the scale, but proving to yourself that you can eat 3 solid meals throughout the day, eat 3 healthy meals throughout the day, make yourself go to the gym, make yourself go for the walk. Ultimately, it's all about the little things that you do and show it for yourself throughout every single day that is valuable in the weight loss.
Are there like actionable tips that you would give your past self, or would you say you already knew the answer? It was more about the mindset to take you there.
Definitely about the mindset. You know, it's everybody knows eat healthy, be active, but how to do that? And that just comes down to showing up for yourself. Again, it's just the littlest things. You got to start small. Go for a 15-minute walk every day. Eat something healthy every day. Every day, do something more for yourself, and it's going to compound over time.
Okay. No, I like that. I would say for me, a piece of advice that I would just give anyone generally who was in my same spot, right? Like, let's say doesn't know anything about the gym, young girl looking to just change physically. I would say do what I did, like research. But not only do you research, and this goes with anything now that I'm saying it out loud, not only research, but do the acts that research is going, because you won't know if it's going to be effective or not unless you do it. You know, I could say something is effective, and if you don't try it, you won't know, right? And if you don't put it into practice, then what's the information worth? So yeah, do a lot of research. There's so many valuable, only as the years go by, there's going to be resources that are free, that are accessible. If you're able to watch this or listen to this, then you have access to free resources. You have access to both mine and Jacob's social media. You have access to talk to either of us. And there really is no excuse. Like, another thing that changed my life is as soon as you have an idea or as soon as you know you need to do something, just do it literally as soon as you can. If you're driving and you can't do it, okay, fine. But write a note like to do it, or keep that mental note, right? But a lot of people procrastinate not for big events, but for small things too. And that idea will leave you because the ideas are spiritual, so they'll just dissipate. Like, it's a little energy ball. It's going to dissipate. So as soon as you know, right now I'm telling you, go look up something or go follow us so that way you can see us. Do it right now, because that's probably why you're stuck, because you don't do anything right now. You're not being called to move, right? But also, don't act out of hastiness. Don't just do things all willy-nilly for the heck of it. Don't waste your time. Use your discernment. Like, if you're watching this and you're comprehending what we're saying, you're smart, right? But also be discerning when to move, and then do that immediately. So I'm telling you right now, look up resources, right? Be proactive, look at the resources, do what you need to do, save whatever to remind yourself later, and then put it into action. I would say something that maybe it's my personality, maybe it's something from being a young woman, but standing up for yourself and speaking up. Like, you are allowed in the gym just as much as any other man. And honestly, at the time, I probably did more research than the men who I was afraid to walk, because I would screen record the entire video while I was watching it too, and then watch it back again, and then I would be still scared to do it. Like, you have just as much of a right to be there, but the difference between you and those men that you're scared of is that they do it. They may not be doing it right, but at least they're doing it so that we can learn whether or not they're doing it right in the future.
Yeah, same thing goes with people that
Yeah.
are overweight too. I think that they're going to go hand in hand. A lot of times when people are really overweight, they're afraid to go into the gym because they're afraid of getting judged with that and being perceived from the regular gym goers, and not only doing things wrong, but just being overweight. And I would just say those people that are regular gym goers are more proud than anything to see you in there trying to make a change.
Yeah, if, someone is judging you, then they probably are not worthy of your opinion back, right? Like if someone is judging you, I don't know how high and mighty or how good they look or whatever, because, someone like me and you won't be judging people. Like we literally help people. I think a lot of people are scared, and I think that's the very first mindset barrier is like, no, you're not bothering me. When you send your check-in pictures, it's not like I'm poking fun at you. I'm literally just seeing the body objectively. And ultimately, that's how all fitness professionals should be looking at their body. If not, they should not be working. They're in the wrong field. But all fitness professionals are looking at your body objectively. And when you go into a gym and you are scared of like the personal trainers there, like they are doing their job by looking at your objectively, like how much body fat do you have, like numbers that are trackable. So I mean, it's so much easier said than done though, because like someone could have told me this a couple years ago and I'd be like, okay, and I'm still scared, But I think it's just one of those things that with anything, you have to get the reps in. So if I was scared, but I still made myself go into the co-ed space of the gym with the squat racks and everything. It scared me so much. I knew what a squat rack was. I was very familiar with all the videos I watched, but I was still very afraid to be in there. But I think once you keep on going back, like Adam, he would literally drive to the gym, and if you didn't feel like going in, he would just sit in his car, like ponder for a couple minutes, and then drive back home. But yeah, obviously your body doesn't know you're at the gym, and obviously you're not burning calories while you're sitting in the car. But you're building the neural pathway, and you're getting the reps in. Like, honestly, there was a lot of days where I would go in the co-ed gym, and I'd, like, look around, kind of, like, pace around like I was going to my next exercise, and then I would walk out. But at least I was in there.
Right.
Yeah.
Develop those habits. Another big thing I would say relating to the anxiety is it's okay and it's normal to feel scared going into the gym and feel anxious about it. You just cannot let that hold you back from starting and doing anything. But just know that it is okay and it's normal.
Yeah. I like that. Any other takeaways or things that you would tell someone in your past?
I don't think so.
Well, mine was directed towards like general people.
Mm-hmm.
But if I were to talk to my actual past self, I honestly, when I think of my past self, I just kind of want to give her a hug. Like, you might not believe it, but you will do these things. Just honestly, like, it's so interesting to think about how when I'm saying that to my past self, a part of me is telling that to myself right now. Go ahead, Jacob.
100%, I agree with you. It's like you have to be, there's a saying that says, be the person that you needed, someone that you needed, be the person that you needed, and you need to be that person for yourself. And that goes back to what I was saying in the beginning, is showing up for yourself and doing it for yourself.
I think that's so, in a way, coaching is so selfish because I am forced to lead by example.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't, remember when I told you a couple months ago when I was making content, and my content is very self-love focused, very setting boundaries, very like, do not let people who do not deserve to be in your space. That's literally what I have to tell my clients. I can look them straight in the eye, and that's literally what I say when I film, and I say this, that, and the other. But I felt like such an imposter when I wasn't living like that. And how am I going to make a video saying, hey guys, like, I'm being real with you, like, I'm not doing things that are very self-love, and now it's like the same exact thing, right? Like, but it also is very healing to relate to clients. I feel like clients may think of us like, oh my gosh, like, don't get mad at me. I'm like, why would I get mad at you? I'm literally doing the same exact thing. Like, you have no, like, I just went on like a food bender. Like, why would I get mad at you, right? So I don't know. I think that's really what's so therapeutic about coaching is just, honestly, there are clients probably that are on board in the future that know more than me, that are maybe more seasoned than I am, but they need someone to kind of cheer them on and relate to them.
And have that compassion.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely. And it's just as important to have your passion for our clients, but to have that compassion for yourself too.
That's good. That's good. Do you want to go a little bit into why you personally coach? What you learned from coaching? What you like about coaching?
Yeah, definitely. So why I got into coaching was, in the beginning when I was really overweight, there was quite a while I didn't even realize I needed to make a change. It was just an everyday life of feeling like crap and being overweight. It was normal to me. It was just a life I was living. And so a big reason I like to coach is to make people realize that they are living in a world that they're used to, but that doesn't mean you have to stay in that world.
Yeah.
There's much more comfort in feeling better physically and mentally. And so I like to really make people realize that they not only need to make that change, but they can make that change. They need to, they can, and then I'm going to give them the guidance of how.
That's
And
good.
that's the most important thing is, you can tell people all the time you need to do these things, but it's how. Everybody knows they need to eat healthy. Everybody knows they need to be active, but it's how are they going to do it? Not necessarily how to do an exercise, but how do you fit the exercising into your life? How do you feel confident going into the gym? How are you actually supposed to eat healthy and fit those healthy meals into your life? So that's why I like to coach, is because I like to make people realize that it's much easier than it seems, and really make them realize how to do it.
Yeah, I'm huge on it's simple, but it's not easy. Like, 2 + 2 = 4, but if you've never done a math equation before,
Right.
then it's complex.
I always make the comparison to cooking. It's really easy to look at a recipe and be like, oh yeah, I can do that. But when you get in front of the stove, it's a completely different story. And so it's not like I'm teaching you guys what to cook, it's how to cook.
That's good, yeah. I kind of think that goes into why I personally coach. I don't know how many people are out there doing this. I can say that I've had my experience with a coach like this. No tea or anything, but I'm just saying, like, I have firsthand experience that it exists. I don't know how many, but there are a lot of coaches that will, like, give you the ingredients and not teach you how to cook. They're just like, here you go. Like, very trust the process. And yes, it is trust the process, right? Obviously, when you're going into a bulk and you feel fat, you trust the process. This is not what I'm talking about here. Like, when your coach says, do this, and your intuition's like, that doesn't sound healthy. Like, okay, that is not trusting the process. That is being blind and blindly following. And the last thing I want to do is teach someone to blindly follow. I, over the years, have invested into different courses, different communities, different things. And right now, currently, the business mentorship that I'm under is like, yes, I'm being told this, like, remove your thought from it, but at least I'm understanding why it is. Like it goes back to what we were saying earlier, don't waste your time, obviously. Remove your thought out of it and just move. But also, I teach people why they're doing this. I'm not saying eat 2,000 calories just because I told you to. I'm saying eat 2,000 calories because I put in your weight into a TDEE calculator, and it said that you need to eat 2,500 to maintain. You want to cut, so we're going, stuff like that. So teaching someone to fish, teaching someone to cook, that's why I coach. Going off to a lot of different reasons why I coach, but I think that as an actionable takeaway for someone who isn't a coach, I would say learn how to fish, right? Instead of asking for things handed to you, you will feel more fulfilled when you work for it yourself, right? Like, I feel like that's why a lot of Nepo babies and a lot of, like, millionaires, like, who aren't self-made are unhappy. I mean, granted, I don't know. I think they also might be unhappy because they aren't on a firm foundation of our Lord and Savior, but that's a different conversation. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, it's like the same exact thing I said earlier. It's like the kids that get a good money from their parents, that they can have all the money in their bank account, but they're not happy because they didn't do what it took to get to there. They're not proud of the process that they put themselves through.
Yeah.
With your business mentorship, what's the biggest takeaway you've had, and how does that relate to fitness?
Honestly, this mentorship, like, this is not like a promotion on anything, but it's very special to me because on the way to my first event, I wasn't in the mentorship. I didn't even know that it was for a mentorship. I was just like, okay, business networking, like what I took you to, right? And at the time, I was a personal trainer for a local company. I'm sorry. And I'm sorry. Anyway, please, we'll just start from the top.
No, keep it in. This is real.
Anyway, I was a personal trainer for a local company, and I definitely was not seeing my own value. Why do you ask? Because I was actively putting myself in situations and around people that did not see my value. That equates to me not seeing my value, right? Like, when you put yourself in situations, or you actively stay when you have the choice to be in a place where you're undervalued, you are actively telling yourself, this is my value, right? And that's why I don't believe in a lot of things that the world tells us, because you are subconsciously telling yourself, this is what I'm worth when you do those things, right? I constantly put myself in rooms where I'm with industry professionals, I'm with people who are where I want to be, I'm with people who are impacting people the way that I want to, I'm in places, I travel, I get myself out of this box to prove to myself this is what I'm worth. I know deep down that God made me for more. But when you surround yourself in a box and that's an echo chamber and there's constant echoing saying you're not, how could I not believe that over time?
Mm-hmm.
So this mentorship is very special to me because initially I was working at a gym as a personal trainer, being underpaid. Like I understand how businesses work, right? Like I understand they need to pay their employees, they need to keep the lights on, like things cost money to repair. I understand that, but for me to say, I'm doing all the hard work, I'm building the relationships with these people, and you're just funneling the leads, which is something I can do because I have marketing background. If I didn't, I can learn, right? Like I'm smart. And for me to actively say I'm worth $17 an hour, not even that if they don't come in, but that's another story.
Well, I like that you say that. It's very similar to health and fitness too. When you're actively eating bad food and not working out, you're telling yourself you're not worth feeling good and being healthy.
Yeah.
And so when you start to eat healthy and start working out, you're telling yourself that you are worth that. It's just one of my favorite sayings is, you can treat a man as he is, and he will stay as he is. But if you treat a man how he can be, he will become what he can be.
That's
and
good.
So you got to treat yourself how you would treat someone that is in the position you want to be. That way you can get there. Treat yourself as someone that you could be and will be.
Yeah, so I remember, because it's been a while since I've been in a room like that. It had been months since I've been around people and feel inspired. That's how I know when something is from God. I'm very intuitive. I listen to my intuition most times, but I can feel it, and you see it when I light up. And I haven't been lit up like that in months, right? Because I was a little bit sad that things didn't work out the way that I wanted to. I had to move back home. I was just so upset, and I didn't find myself in a space like this. And when the people were talking, I just lit up. Why? Because they knew A/B testing, because they knew sales, because they knew social media. I'm the only person that knows this in my environment. I'm the only person that thinks like this in my environment. If I'm at an echo chamber and all the people at my work are talking about, like, did you hear what Becky did? Like, I don't know what Becky, by the way, that was a filler name. Like, no, I don't care, because I have things to do. I have lives to impact. I have I have gifts to be used. I have businesses to steward. And no, I don't care what Becky did, because, I have more things to, like, bigger things to worry about. And so when I was in that space, like, for the first time, I got lit up, and I was with one of my friends who brought me there. So divine, right? Like, and she says, like, at the time I was, like, entertaining a connection that I shouldn't have been. And she's saying, like, these are the people that you're supposed to be around. And I'm just like, I know. And as a recovering people pleaser, like, the crazy thing is, I know my value and I know my worth. Why is it that I'm falling apart just because I feel bad for another person? Because I'm doing charity work, because I'm saying, like, oh, like, I'm just entertaining this because they're lonely, or they're sad, or they had a hard childhood. We all have hard childhoods. Like, we all are lonely. We all are sad. Like, be an adult. Like, honestly, like, the best charity you can do for someone who's like that is walk away and tell them, like, you need to learn like an adult. You need to learn how to self-regulate. I go to therapy. There's BetterHelp. There are, like, if you work for a company, like, they have those resources. Like, literally self-regulate, and stop depending on things of this world. Woman, drugs, things like that. Like, be an adult, genuinely. Like, find Jesus. I don't know, but that's a tangent. But the going back to what you were saying is, the biggest lesson from that business mentorship was not, and I know this sounds very, like, MLM-y, this is not a sponsor of any kind, but the biggest thing I took away from that mentorship, things that, like, I kind of innately already know. I'm not trying to say, like, it wasn't worth my money. There was a lot of things, like, I didn't know, but there's also a lot of things I innately did know. And it's someone telling me, you need to do this, stop thinking, just execute. Like, you are powerful, you are able to. And it's not mindset. It's not a mindset coaching. It's, do this, it will get you results. Why are you holding yourself back? And when you can't answer why are you holding yourself back, you already know the answer, right? Like, I've known a lot of social media things. I've literally worked in marketing for other companies. Other companies trusted me with their social media marketing, but I'm scared to make a video. And I think it all comes down to limiting beliefs. So by putting myself in spaces, saying that I can associate with people who are making $10K a month, $20K a month. My mom, like, went to nursing school and she doesn't even make that much. Like, sorry, Mom, not to air you out, but like, you get what I'm trying to say. Like, it is crazy that I can say I associate with them. And it's not about money, of course, but I'm just using it as a metric, as a baseline. So I think the biggest thing that mentorship has taught me is, like, the connection I was entertaining at the time was saying, oh, don't invest in this, whatever, like, and I'm like, okay, whatever. One thing about me is, if I'm fed up about you, okay, you may be able to step on me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times, but if I'm fed up with you, it's sayonara. And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. I told you I got paid, like, $17 an hour. Like, I'm in debt. Like, okay, yeah, I'll fork over this, because, I was in Hawaii, and the first day I got a text, I couldn't invest how much they asked me to invest, right? And maybe this goes to someone who's looking for fitness coaching. Maybe this looks for someone who's going into mindset coaching, therapy, anything. Like, things in this world cost money, and things that are worth having, it requires some sort of investment. I'm not talking money. I'm talking about time. I'm talking about learning. I'm talking about all these different things. So I wasn't able to invest what they first asked me to. Whatever I say, I'll get back to you when I'm able to. I get a text when I'm in Hawaii, right? Like, the first day, and I'm like, I'm on this beautiful island, and why am I tripping about what Joe Schmo and Rebecca are doing at unnamed company. And I was like, I got a text and I felt like it was so God sent because I'm like, I can invest that much. It was like today only, and I was like, that's what I invested. And you know what? I almost made my money back. And I'm not saying how much because I don't remember what was in that contract, but I almost made my money back. So this is to you, that connection. I'm not going to flip them off, but, you know, I did it, you know, and that's what it is. You know, that's what it is. Like, I felt such a spiritual pull, and I know I'm dropping these little spiritual seeds. Maybe you don't agree, maybe you don't, but I felt a spiritual. I literally threw up that night. I literally was perfectly fine at that event, and on the way home, I was getting calls from said connection, and I'm in the car with Alessia, and I literally I'm like, I'm nauseous, and I didn't eat anything bad. I follow a meal plan. I had the same thing every single day, and I go home and I throw up. And I felt a spiritual pull. And if you don't believe in it, you can believe in whatever you want, but don't doubt that there's a pull saying stay where you are or move on. That was good.
That was pretty solid. Yeah. How does that relate to fitness?
I forgot that second part. I mean, it relates to fitness in many different ways, right? Like same mentorship experience can be related to fitness. Community, positive feedback, you know what you're supposed to do, but there's that lack of support, right?
Mm-hmm. One of the biggest things that you said that I really liked was that you felt inspired by being in the room with those people. And that's how we should look at the gym too. When we go into the gym and we see these guys that regularly work out, instead of being intimidated by them and thinking they're judging us, should feel inspired by them and learn from them.
Yeah, I think it's with any environment. That's why even I wanted to go to different gyms just because I'm just wanting to be around. For example, I used to be a powerlifter, so I switched from my commercial gym to a powerlifting gym for a little bit. And at my commercial gym, I walk in, they're own the place. I'm like, yeah, I'm Maria. You don't know me. Surprising. Whatever. I'm here a lot. And then I go to the powerlifting gym, and I'm like, oh wait, I'm the smallest and weakest person here. Should I just go back to my commercial gym? And it's not about the gym. It's about the environment. It's just about where you put yourself. I don't know. It's a very cliche. You are the people that you surround yourself with. But it's that's how important it is. Yeah, I don't know. How do you think it relates to fitness, or what would you say? How business and fitness kind of convolute?
I think exactly what I was just saying is, you got to be putting yourself in the same situations as people that you want to be in. Just like going to the gym, you can't be intimidated by the big bodybuilder, especially if that's where you want to get to. Use it as motivation, and treat yourself as the person you want to be. You have to act in the way as the person you want to be. If you want to be healthy, you have to go to the gym. If you want to be healthy, you have to eat right, and you have to treat yourself in that way too.
Yeah, a lot of it is energy, because if you act like you know, doors will open, opportunities will open. If you act like you're in the reality that you are in, then you'll stay the same and you'll wake up the same tomorrow. Why? Because nothing up here changed. If I woke up this morning and I visualize, and that's why it's very important for me to do that visualization, because then I speak to people in a different cadence. I walk with my head up and my shoulders back, and it's just a different energy that attracts different things, so that way I can keep on moving forward. Maybe it opens a door for me to meet someone that has a connection. I don't know, but that's good.
Most of the best connections I've met, especially this past year, have come from the gym and just random conversations with people in the gym, not only personally but also fitness-wise.
I love it. Do you have anything else that you want to wrap up, or you want to get into the Q&A?
We can get into Q&A.
Okay, so we have a couple of questions that the followers asked. The first one is, how do mental health and physical health go together?
So I think that they kind of follow along with each other. For me, my mental health came in line as I got my physical health in shape. You start working on yourself physically, your mental health is going to be right behind it. You're going to see improvements in your body, improvements in the way that you're doing things throughout the day, and that just slowly improves your mental health right along with it, especially confidence.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I agree. It's pretty hand in hand, and there's not much more I can add to it. Like, we all know that mental and physical are one and the own, because if your mental is off, then your physical will be off, and then if your physical is off, then of course you're mentally going to be off. I think it's
Definitely.
like all rounded too, like spiritually, financially, all of it. They are so interconnected, and that's why if you want to be good in one spot in your life, then you need to work on the other spot.
Definitely. And I really just
Yeah.
say, pick one, and the other one's going to follow along.
That's good. Where do you see your business in 10 years?
It's a good question. For me, I just really want to change as many people's lives as possible, and make people realize that they can do it. I don't really look at it as my business as being somewhere, but just affecting as many people as I can.
Yeah, that's good.
What about you?
I kind of let go of timelines from being in business for about 3 or 4 years. Like, this is not where I anticipated to be. And I completely did a completely new rebrand. And that wasn't my goal. My goal was probably to be in Texas with, like, I don't know, like my clothes and gyms in Texas or something like that. But that's not what God's calling me to do. So I kind of let go of the timeline. Yes, I have some like ideas up here, right? Like, I want to do public speaking, and that I want to have maybe a pop-up, maybe a storefront, whatever it is that like I am called to do. But I kind of let go of the timeline. I think if I had to put something to, I would just agree with you and say as many hoodies with positive messages worn as possible, as many success stories as possible, not just clients onboarded, but success stories, and just as much impact as possible. And that doesn't have to be just in business. That can be when I'm at the gym, I compliment someone, things like that. So that's where I see it. How do you balance coaching clients and your own life?
Yeah, so I think that it's pretty easy. You just practice what you preach. And I'm also preaching what I practice. It goes hand in hand. I think time-wise, I work at a gym. It's extremely easy to get my fitness in. Eating healthy is pretty easy when I'm telling everybody else to eat healthy. It just becomes a habit over time. You just got to slowly get it in. It's like you tell someone to brush your teeth. It's not hard for you to brush your teeth too.
Yeah, that's good. I think it comes down to, I don't know if this is the best answer, but I think it comes down to business procedures and automation and SOPs, standard operating procedures, for those who do not know, and systems in place, and failing fast, learning quickly. Like, for example, something that I've noticed is my clients drop off after onboarding. So I'm like, okay, we need to set expectations, things like that, so that way I can scale. Why do I want to scale? So that way I can impact as many people as possible. Why do I want to impact as many people as possible? Because I believe that's what I'm here on this earth to do, and I want to help use my trial and the bad things that happened in my life and turn it into good. How can I do that? By doing this at scale. So with my own life, I think it comes with practice. Setting boundaries, but also when it comes to setting boundaries, if you have things that you want to do, you have to be willing to do things that people don't want to do. I woke up at 5:30 this morning for a client. Am I saying that's what you need to do? No. Am I saying that's what's a best use of your time? No. Do I know that that's what's important for this client to make her experience the best because she let me know very early that it was important to her? Yes. Was this the only time that you could do it? Yes. So things like that. Okay, I think that's good. I like this one. What traditional values do we uphold as a couple?
The biggest one for me that I really like is that although we both have I wouldn't say extremely, we just have our own goals and our own paths that we're following. We're very connected with each other, and we both look to, in a relationship, I like to be the leader in that. And although I'm not saying you're a follower by any means, I think traditionally that's how it has been. and that's kind of how we go with it too.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm a follower. I would say I know myself enough and you've creating yourself enough for me to fall back and submit. That wouldn't be healthy if I hadn't spent however long I have creating this independent sense of self. If I didn't do that, then submitting to you is just me, just codependency. And that's what they say in therapy, they're codependent. I'm submitting to you and I have my own, but not because I have to, because you allow me to. And obviously, like, we are not married. Obviously, like, we are learning as we go, but that's just what I've noticed at this point in time. For me, a big thing is, I mean, in this world, you know, we're both in the fitness industry. It's a very sexualized industry, and we do not let it be a sexualized industry for us. We don't let it be a thing that it's not. It's strictly business. Check-ins are check-ins. Like, it's not, you know, when we're training people, it's not what you see on Instagram, like the rare weird men who are overly touchy and stuff like that. There's no wandering eyes. Like, it's professional. And unfortunately, there are some bad apples who make the industry look bad. And it is not a sexual thing. Even bodybuilding, I'm up there with, you know, pretty much naked. I'm up there, you know, with my hair done, with my makeup done, with my nails done. But everyone who goes knows that it is not a sexual thing. Like, there are certain creators who are bodybuilders and who also do sex work, but that's a separate entity. The people who understand that also understand that bodybuilding is not inherently sexual, right? It's a sport. So yeah, I think that how that also goes into our values is like when I'm at the gym and of course like there are men who are in muscle tanks and I'm not like, ooh, like that's hot or whatever. I'm like, okay, like they have big biceps, they have like good shoulders. I'm like, okay, and I move on. And like for you, like, you know, there are going to be women who are dressed in ways where I'm concerned. I'm like, oh, maybe you're looking that other way, but you're like, oh, you know, like she has like a nice legs, like nice arms, like you can tell she works on them and just move on because it's objective. So I like that we include that into our training.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Do we work out together? Yes. Hardest part about volunteering, we do sometimes. You want to go and explain?
Yeah, it's hard to get into our schedules. Like I said, we both have our individual lives and goals, and so it's hard to fit it in, but we usually work out like 2 times a week together. Usually those workouts take several hours long.
Hardest part about bodybuilding, for me, I would say having a boyfriend. Sorry. It's just like, I don't know what it is. It's primitive, like to want to feed each other. I don't know what it is. Like I know that we will say like, hold me to your goals, but I don't know why. Like something innately is like, we need to eat. Like, you know, I don't know what it is. I just want to feed you. I want to, like, it's a bonding experience, but of course you can do that with like chicken and rice, but it's just not as good.
Right, yeah, I agree with you there. And it's mostly just going to be the nutrition part of it, especially, you know, going out and doing things with each other like alcohol and partying and staying up late.
Okay.
But that's pretty much it.
Don't expose us. Okay, how is the 140-pound weight loss on you mentally?
For me, it's been a real eye-opener for how the world treats overweight people differently than people that are in shape.
Yeah.
I've realized, especially with women, but just men too, that the amount of respect that I receive now, the eye contact, the laughs at jokes, is a totally different world that I live in now. And I'm not saying it's a good or a bad thing, but it's just a big difference I've realized. Mentally, that's really shaped the way that I navigate things. Ultimately, having the confidence that I do and the anxiety that I don't have now has been more weight off me mentally than the weight I lost physically.
Yeah. And you say, I would not have looked at you or give you the time of day if you wouldn't have to lose that weight. And of course, I want to say, no, I would have because I know you and I know your personality. But after like pondering on it, I would agree with you. And that is because mentally you're not the same person. Like, yeah, I would agree with you because we would not have the same values and the same understanding and the same character traits that you get from a physical transformation, an intention to be the best, to be ambitious, like experience of challenges, all of these things that come with it. And I would agree with you. And I want to say that's purely mental when I say that, but it's also, I have to be honest with my biases and understand like this is the world that we live in. Like we have biases against people. I can say that I don't, and I might not have a lot of a bias, but we all have subconscious biases. So it's just, it's a new thing we have to be neutral about, right? And I think it's eye-opening for someone who you've looked that way your entire life and you don't know what it's like on the other side.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. How important are similar values as a couple?
You want to start this one off?
I think it depends on the values. I think it depends on the hard boundaries. I think it depends on what you're willing to teeter-totter on, what you're willing to debate and what you're willing to not debate. For me, you know what those are. And, with relationships, as an adult, you go into a relationship knowing there's not a perfect partner. There's not going to be someone who thinks exactly like you. There's not going to be someone who has the exact same values as you. There's not going to be someone who has the exact same everything as you. There's going to be a lot of similarities, but there's going to be someone who grew up in a different place than you, who grew up in a different circumstance than you. So understanding, I guess, other people's perspectives, but there are some values that fundamentally can't be broken.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think that it's very important to respect those differences between you. But ultimately, it's important to find someone that in life has that same general destination, because you're going to have to walk the same path together.
Yeah. Okay, our last one is, and I'm going to change it into a two-parter. The first one is, what is our goals as a couple? And I want to change that to a couple and then also individually. You want to first?
No, you go first on this one.
Okay. Our goals as a couple, to continue to inspire each other and continue to push each other, and to do that symbiotic, I don't know if that's the correct word, together. I always pray for us individually to be grown, because that is something that people don't talk about in relationships. Like, I constantly have to, if I want to be a submissive, I constantly have to work on myself and be strong in who I am. So that way I can do that. And then also same as you, right? It's like a equal partnership. But regardless of the relationship, I continuously want to grow as an individual, and I want to lean into whatever that means in whatever season of life. Some seasons I'm called to rest. Some seasons I'm called to create. Some seasons I'm called to move. Some seasons I'm called to transition. And just leaning into that, growing spiritually, emotionally, financially, physically, whatever the case may be. I have a lot of goals, but they might change, honestly, with time, because as I'm opening my heart, I realize that a lot of things that I thought I wanted are just bragging rights. 30 under 30. Why? What do I get? A short term of fulfillment, and then I move on, and then it's the next thing, and I'm never fulfilled but I think goals are fun to have, but going back to why. So I'll go into you.
Yeah, it's very similar to what you're talking about. I think that it's important that we keep our individual goals, but also support each other as much as we can through that, and just be 100% of ourselves. That way, together, we can be as much as we can be, and be the person that we need to be for each other.
Yeah, that's good. All right, well, that was the last one that we chose. Thank you for asking questions. And then I think it's time to wrap up, so I'll just do my plugs. Riapatag, RIAPATAG, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Threads, X, I don't use that though. And then clothing, Be Bold with Love, and boltactive.com, BOLTACTIVE.com, Be Bold with Love on Instagram. And we both our coaching inquiries are open. Type form, link in bio. Do you want to go ahead and do your plugs? Where can people find you if they choose to?
Yeah, so I'm currently on TikTok and Instagram, just Jacob Fernandez, and that's pretty much it for me.
Jacob Fernandez, 69.
The handle is 69. Yes.
All right. Thank you. I feel like we should do like a sign off. Signing off. We're good. Yeah, I think so. Did we go over?